Hello, and welcome to Career Landscapes, a peek into professional lives. I'm your host, Felicity Minch, and the co-founder of One Voice for Change. Today, we're going to talk with renowned concert guitarist Alfredo Muro, who is joining us from Spain. And I'd like to take a moment right now and read a little bit about him. Alfredo Muro, born in Lima, Peru, began teaching himself guitar at age 10 and later studied with renowned masters such as Jose Pepe Torres, Octavio Ticona, and Carlos Hayre. Moving to the United States, he expanded his skills under Manuel Lopez Ramos, Frank Costa, and John Doan. With a diverse repertoire spanning classical to Latin American and Spanish music, Muro is recognized for his emotional depth and versatility. He has performed worldwide, including for Pope John Paul II at the Vatican. Muro has received numerous awards, including the Jack Rosenberg Memorial and recognition from the Jazz Society of Oregon. He has released several CDs and is currently working on a new recording project and a book. Welcome, Alfredo. Thank you so much for joining us today. I am so honored to interview you. Thank you for being with us.
Thank you, Felicity. It's so great to see you, and thank you so much for inviting me to this video conversation conference. And so it's an honor for me to be here, interviewed by you, and trying to inspire the little kids.
Yes, that's the wonderful thing, to inspire through the arts. So I'd like to start this conversation by something that is not in your bio. You actually went to law school and you became a corporate attorney. And I think students would love to hear your story about how you went from being an attorney to being a world-renowned concert artist. So tell us your story.
That's a lovely question. When I was in, first of all, I grew up in a very musical family. My mother, my uncle, my sister, and so many uncles and aunts and cousins. My cousins, they were contemporary with me. Many of them were singers, mainly singers. Some of them played some instruments, but most of them were very good singers. So music was something that came very natural to me because I was so used to listen since I was a kid, you know. And of course, every time we have those beautiful parties with the family. Of course, we have a guitar there, and that was that I became really. I always say I was contaminated since I was a kid with music, but interesting that despite that my mother was very musical. When I finished high school, when I was ready to finish, I told my mother very, very seriously. I said, "Man, I want to be a musician." And then she said, "Nope. Unfortunately, no. That can be your hobby. You know, you can play always your music, but you have to study. You know, at that time they called something serious. You know, you can be an MD, you can be an architect, you can be an accountant, engineer, and a lawyer. So I already gave you 5 choices, right? So I said, wow. And there was no chance to say, I want to do what I want, And so I picked the last one, because I never thought I was good for medicine or maybe an architect, but I think law was a good option, I would say, for me. And that's why, because the pressure of the society on those times, I made me to understand my mother's position. No? She wants me to pursue something that financially can provide me more stability. But of course, things are changed now in the world, no? And now we can study music or any kind of arts at the universities and many conservatories. So the options are wider now.
That's true. That's definitely true. And what brought you to the United States? And did you come to the United States as a musician, or were you thinking of coming here as an attorney and studying law here?
Well, I put it on this way. In the past, my passion was with always music, and I was always playing music. I never gave up with my guitar. But when I started practicing law, I did it for about 8 to 9 years, almost 9 years, and I practice. I specialize in corporate law as well as civil law. And it was something that I enjoyed. I did it for also, I used to work for a private bank in Lima. And that was owned by German, the founders were German. And so I worked there at the legal department. So I have a good training on the legal area for many, many years, including the years that I was studying at the university, because I was already practicing law,
Yeah, yeah, amazing. So,
So,
and when you came to the United States, did you come to Oregon? Is that where you settled?
right. So my connection to Oregon was because my sister was living, and still she's living there, and she invited me to visit her. She set up a series of concerts with her because she's also a singer. So I said, well, I always dream to visit the U.S. and said this is a good opportunity. And also the circumstances, the political circumstances in Peru were very difficult at that time. The Shining Path was a group inspired on the Mao Zedong revolution, Chinese revolution, and actually create a disaster, made a disaster in Peru, killed more than 70,000 people. Very, very difficult times. So that was part also of that, something that really motivated me to visit first the US. And originally I was thinking maybe I should continue my career law study again over there, but my passion was stronger than law, and I remember always in the farewell party that I had in Peru prior my trip to the US. A friend of mine, a very good friend, we were just him and me talking about my projects and everything. And I mentioned, yes, I want to maybe continue working as a lawyer there. And then he said, are you crazy? He said, no. He said, you have to be a musician. Also, of course, he is also a musician. He plays, he's a master percussionist. You have just continue follow your passion. And I'm glad that actually I heard him, and when I arrived in the U.S., I decided to continue with my music, and make really a professional career, because in those times in Peru to be a musician was very difficult. If you have to play or have that profession, you have to mainly play just Peruvian music, maybe just providing accompaniment to singers. And that was not what I really want to do. I always loved playing, concerts and playing solo guitar since I was a kid. But the most popular music in Peru are the Peruvian waltzes, the music from the coast, and usually when you play on those professional peñas, you have to play with singers. So that was the great opportunity for me to move to the US and start my career as a soloist. No? And also, very interesting and funny story. When I was enrolled, first I studied English at the community college in Portland. Then I finished my studies there, and then I went to Portland State University to continue studying English, but at a very more high level. But I remember always, and that was my motivation to learn faster the English. I was in the building of the language studies, and then I went to the other building that was the music faculty. And I was there trying to understand what they say, because I was a classical guitar I went to. So that was actually a very important motivation for me to learn more English, so that I will be able to communicate and to understand the music language too.
Yes, the project we're doing now with Peru, the kids are really anxious to learn English, and they're doing a great job. They're really wanting to expand and be fluent in English. So you came here
Right.
you did not speak English when you came to the United States, or did you speak a little English?
That's correct. I remember on the airplane, in the airplane was when I was the one of the hostess was coming up, and what they want to ask you, what would you like to drink? Because we already have the meals. I had to get those. Remember those little dictionaries,
Yeah.
in Spanish and English.
Yes, I remember.
And trying. That was the first word that I used. Okay, vino. Oh, wine. Oh, wine. Whatever. So I showed to her. This is what I want.
Oh, but it's beautiful. Your life is so beautiful because you had that determination, and you knew what you wanted,
Right.
and you had that passion, and you just went for it. And it's amazing landing in a country and not speaking the language, and knowing that you want to stay here and um, develop
Right.
as an artist.
And
That's beautiful.
that's really, you were in Peru recently, right? And you were there, and made me happy to hear that the kids they are so willing to learn English, because it's important. It's important. It's the language that connect all the cultures in the world. And who knows, in the future, maybe other languages is going to dominate the commercial world, and kids have to be prepared also to learn whatever is the common language to communicate. No, that
Yeah,
really made me very happy,
yeah, yeah. Oh,
because
great.
it's important.
Yeah, it is important. And um, tell us, I mean, about a little bit about your career, how you developed your career. I mean, you landed in Oregon, didn't speak English, and you went from that to where you are now. How kids want to know kind of what were the steps, or how did you create your career and your life?
Right. Well, of course, when I arrived in Portland, I was learning English, but then there was a moment that I need to make also my own income. So I thought immediately, well, music. And you can't believe what I did, because I have an amazing journey that I never imagined I was going to have. Because guitar is not related to salsa music. Could you believe? Of course, it's not related, because It doesn't have the power in the same way that it's not related to the symphonies. But in salsa music, neither. So you can't really. But I started working with the salsa band just to make my income, you know. But I said I can sing a little bit, but always with my guitar. So I started saving money with the gigs and get an amplified guitar, electric acoustic guitar on those times, you know, and then I can play with along with the orchestra, you know, the salsa orchestra. So I did it, and for really few months, I would say. I enjoyed, even I had the opportunity to play, to open the show with that band in Portland, a wonderful band called Conjunto Alegre, to open the show for Tito Puente, who is, and whom, you know, he's not alive anymore, but he was a fantastic arranger, fantastic musician for Latin jazz. And he actually is the composer of that famous song, Oye Cómo Va, that many people think belongs to Carlos Santana, actually belongs to Tito Puente. You know, so for me it was something very, very special to open the concert for him and his orchestra. But that opportunity of playing with this salsa band allowed me to meet a bass player in the band that he also has a trio that they want to expand it to a quartet, and they were looking for a lead guitar, and they make, you know, Latin American music. Okay, I said, oh, this is what I want to do. And then so I started working with them, and we started playing all kind of music, you know, Mexican music that was probably the most popular, but besides that, some, you know, Latin American music. And then little by little, I remember when I used to play in a place that the famous congressman at the time for Oregon used to come with his wife, that also later became the mayor of the city. They used to come very often to this place. And it was a very fine restaurant, and every time they can, they invite me to say, please, could you grab your chair and play for us? So I play just for them and say, wow, this is so wonderful. Start playing my solo. And that really encouraged me to really pursue more my career as a soloist. But the most important step for me was after that, when I was observing the market in the music market in Oregon. I noticed that there were not there were many jazz bands, but not Brazilian jazz bands. And I thought, well, the closest style to jazz is Brazilian music, bossa nova, and choro, no, but I would say bossa nova and samba, no, more than choro. And I said, well, I'm going to create my own band. So I started performing with that band, you know, for many, many years, but always with one requirement, because I present a lot of concerts. That opened the door for me to play in the jazz festivals that were only for American jazz musicians. So I started playing with my band, but always in the middle of those in the middle of the program, I always play Villalobos or Bach, whatever I have, or Spanish music, solo guitar.
Oh, that's wonderful. Yeah, you're touching on so many great things, like networking is so important. Determination,
Right.
is so important. Creativity and just creating your own opportunities. I try to teach
Right.
students this all the time. Wow. All right. Continue. Sorry to interrupt your story. So continue from there.
No, no. So anyway, when I start playing there in the festivals, so that opened that door for me of the festivals. So no, you don't have to work anymore playing in restaurants or which is good, but my vision was bigger. So I want to play in the concert halls, and so that allowed me to play in different venues, up to the point that the band that it was called Alfredo Muro Latin Jazz Ensemble was playing an average of 130 concerts per year. It was exhausted, very busy, and playing for major events, playing for major events. But that opened that door for me that, if playing big, in other words, to have a big exposure, because the band played with me, but also I play solo there, and that was opening more that field for me. So later, there was a point that I said, I love playing, improvising, with the band, because a lot of improvisation required there. You never play the same with the band. We have a format, of course, arrangements, but there was a freedom there to play, to improvise. And one day I said, "Wow, this is the time for just quit the band and just focus on my career as a soloist."
And how did you, that's wonderful. It's amazing that you were able to do that. There's so much determination and so much love in your story. How did you get to play for Pope John Paul II? How did that happen?
Oh, that was in when I was living in Peru. That was in 1982, or no, don't remember what, 83. Yeah, I was in Lima. I was invited to a party there, and then I start playing, and someone came. It was an Italian person, and he said, "My name is," I still remember his name, Pier Paolo Pirrotina. And he said, "I'm Pier Paolo, and I represent and work for the Vatican." I said, "What?" I couldn't believe that. And he asked me, "Would you like to play at the Vatican for the Pope?" As I thought, "Wow, are you kidding?" That was my first actually international travel, and it was an amazing experience.
And how were you received? How were you? Oh, what did you play? What were you nervous? You must have just been overwhelmed.
Well, when you are young, you're not afraid of many things. When you're growing, and then you say, "Wow, how many people are here?" Details, but believe me, there were about 2,500 people at the main square at the Vatican, because at that time they call audiencias, auditions, audience for the Pope, So it was an incredible experience, because I had the opportunity to play my solos, as well as I have my own group that I made from Peru. And so we were like 8 musicians, and then everybody went to different parts of Europe and came back to Peru, and I stayed there, and I started working there solo in Italy, playing, playing in some Italian places there, but it was an incredible experience.
Oh, it's wonderful, absolutely wonderful. And And where do you see, how do you see the concert guitar developing in the future? I mean, what kids are asking about artificial intelligence, but I don't think anything will replace the human heart and the human spirit for playing. Technology will take over for different things, recording and different types of instruments, but the actual art of creation is always human. But where do you see the guitar?
Exactly.
Where do you see the guitar going in the future and developing in the future?
Yes, I think the guitar already has a very secure place, you know. What you say first is very important, you know, artificial intelligence, super technology that we now enjoying, if we use it properly and we use it well, you know, you can have access. If you know the sources well, you have very good information, you know. But at the same time, the negative side is you have so much of fake news on the net and the internet. So we have to be very careful with that. But as you said, you know, there is nothing that in the future, because the jobs that we are now doing, or many people are doing, in few years they won't exist. No way. They're gonna be out of the market because they're gonna be replaced by robots, by the artificial intelligence. But creativity is something that the artificial intelligence can't replace. You can't do that. It's impossible. So I would say art will be a very important, will have a very important role in the future, because there is no way you can substitute that. So, but how I see classical guitar, I see a great future, because there are a wonderful amount of new players, new talents, you know. But what I see is that now there is a tendency to a very intellectual repertoire, very, no, I don't want to say academic, but intellectual repertoire, a tonal music. But as many things in life, not only music, we always back everything. Our things are cycles, become cycles, and then we will back again to the love of the tonal music, you know, the beauty of the simplicity that is so important. Because one of the most difficult things is to write music in a with a very simple language, to put it away, but with an extreme beauty. When you have that combination, you have a really a beautiful, you can write beautiful music, because those elements are hard to combine, hard to express something, you know, very simple but profound, deep and beautiful. It's not easy. It's not easy really to achieve that, you know.
And music touches universally. It touches everyone on earth.
Exactly.
And where language can be barriers, and religions can be barriers, and philosophies can be barriers, but music opens up the heart so much, and
Exactly.
and it helps us open up the ability to understand each other in a completely different way than the written word.
Right, exactly. The music is a universal language, you know. You can nature provide music, you know. I always remember a beautiful say by the Argentinian guitarist and poet Atahualpa Yupanqui, that says that the guitar before was created already knew about music, because the guitar was made out of the wood, and the birds were singing always on the on the branches of the trees.
Oh, that's
So
beautiful.
right.
Incredible. Incredible. Well, thank you for that. I had students ask questions, and
Hmm.
I was wondering if you'd be up to answer some questions from students.
Absolutely,
All right.
absolutely.
Um, let me see here. The first one is from a 14-year-old. And what do you enjoy most about performing in front of a live audience? And is it different than being in the recording studio?
That's a very good question. First of all, there are two different things. We are facing two different scenarios. The recording is, as you know very well, we did even some recordings, and the it's an interesting process, but it's more like editing something that has to be very well done. Of course, requires a preparation, like playing in front of an auditorium, a venue. But the main difference is that the recording is colder in comparison to playing live. So there is because there is a lack of communication when you are recording. Is yourself, your instrument, and your audience are the microphones.
Yeah,
That's it.
yeah,
You know, totally different is when you need to communicate with the audience and to know that that single message, musical message that you are sending, because it's only one, and you can have 20 people or 400 people or more than that. So those are 400 different brains, that receiving the same message, but the way that they are receiving that and the way they are processing that is totally different. That because music, the magic of music had that can transport you really to the past, to the future, or refresh your present.
yeah, definitely.
So it's a very different scenario.
Mhm. Yeah, and you do feel, when I perform live, you have a tremendous amount of energy coming at you. You can feel everybody. You just,
Right.
or I do, at
Is
least I
that's
take in the
that's
audience,
right.
taking in the energy.
Exactly. It's like there is like you are one when you are recording because it's more mental, more. But when you are on the stage, so you have to keep a good balance
Yeah,
because sometimes it's not good to be so emotional,
no,
to this take it to the extreme, or so thoughtful thinking, mentally, and thinking, oh, this coming next? I have to do this, whatever. So it's better to put it in a good balance and combine the two elements. That makes I think, in my opinion, a wonderful performance. But you're right. When you are on the stage, you actually change. You are another person, becoming another person.
yeah, the stage does amazing things to us.
Oh yeah.
I have another question from a 12th grader. He's in 12th grader. How do you prepare for a concert? And what is your practice routine?
Yeah, the preparation for a concert is something that requires a very meticulous work. No, for instance, I like to, of course, technically prepare the piece. To have the structure of the piece ready. Of course, that includes memorization, So you know the piece very well, but when you know the piece very well, is the moment to work also with the timbre, the colors, the expression, the dynamics. So and it's so important to focus on that, because I think that's the part that add the color to this beautiful picture called painting called music. So every piece is a kind of a painting, artistic painting.
Yeah, it's beautiful. That's beautiful. All right, this is from a fifth grader. Has your instrument ever been damaged or stolen while traveling?
Well, luckily, I have never had that problem with my instruments, thanks to God, because I know it's a really, you need to develop some strategies when you're traveling, all the time, because depending of the airline company, lately they are more friendly, I would say, but there was a moment I remember that they force you to send the instrument, the guitar, to the cargo, and it's like the guitarists are like our daughter,
Oh, it is. It's our,
right? It's our child,
yeah,
as our baby, right? And you say, wow, suffer. I remember only a couple of times that happened to me, but in general, I was very lucky, and that I use, of course, a travel case that fits properly on the overhead, but also is a case that is solid, is light, but a solitude, but you can send it to the cargo, but the problem is not how excellent can be your case, can be the best case in the world, the guitar case. The problem is the way the employees treat the case.
yes.
So what I learned is, okay, if the person want me to send it to the cargo, I'm gonna make sure that the guitar case is gonna be the last item to be sent it to the cargo. No, when they are already doing that, you are in the middle of that process. So wait to the end. Here is, and then it totally changed the situation, because I noticed that they send an employee that they give you a tag, right, and they take personally the guitar.
Right.
So that's, at least that's something that not it's not relief but of tension, but you feel better. But what really made me feel much better is to have an insurance. So if you have insurance, that's the best thing. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, my instruments are well insured. I have
Right.
another question from an eighth grader, grade 8. How do you stay motivated to keep practicing? Do you ever get bored or take breaks from practicing?
Good question. Good question. I like to practice, in my program, especially when I am preparing for a concert, 5 days before my concert. And the first 3 days, I play the piece. For instance, if the piece has three sections, pretend it's A, B, B, C, C, I just play A, B, C. I don't need to, repeat, or, I don't need it. Because the repeat can be, of course, an opportunity for, dynamics, whatever it is. But you can, if you know very well what to do, it's better just to do just one session without the repetition. That really helps a lot, because you are not really, you won't feel tired mentally and physical, because overplay is not good. So I recommend always to do that. The 2 days before the concert, I like to play my entire program the way I'm going to play, respecting all the repetitions and sections, and of course the dynamics and expression from day one to day five is the idea.
Yes. And yeah, what I do, I to not get bored, I have a story to every song. Everything that I'm practicing, I have the emotional story behind it. So in my mind, I'm thinking a story. So I'm kind of recreating and playing the story. So
Exactly.
I have a wild imagination, and I just think of a.
Oh, right.
And then second is that there's part of me that's pretty competitive. So I compete against myself, not against other people. But
Right.
I have a little goal where I think, okay, can I play this better today than I played it yesterday? Or can I play this? Am I better now than I was last week? And so I kind of do my own competition for myself. So I
Exactly.
set myself up to push myself.
Right.
Those are little tricks that
Exactly. I totally agree with you. I think every song, of course, in the preparation of the concerts, since you mentioned that there is, we have to study a lot, not only the music, but the times of the composer, the life of the composer, the style that you are approaching, right? It can be Baroque, it can be Renaissance, it can be modern, romantic, contemporary, it can be Brazilian, and you need to know very well those genres so well. And the history, there is usually there is a history behind every song, but sometimes there is not information about the what motivate the composer to write that piece, I always tell my students, if there is not a story there, so you must create one, create something like exactly what you said. No, and and if we have a great imagination, you can, the music, as I say, the message is just one, but the way that audience receive it is different. So the same way we can interpret or create a story in our own way.
yeah, it's beautiful. That's beautiful. All right, I have another question. This is from a senior in high school.
Mhm.
What are the biggest challenges of being a concert musician?
That's a very good question. The challenge, I think, is you have to be most of the time when you are touring, you are out of home. You're not at home. You are missing family, or if you are traveling alone. It's a work for the. Usually, you go, you stay in a hotel, and your life is just you, the music score, and your guitar. That's it. It's a work on solitude. So implies a lot of course, travels many hours of travel, transportation, wherever you are, you need to be adapted to the time zone. For instance, I remember, I'm going to tell something that happened to me on one of my trips to Taiwan. On my second trip, I think it was more from Mexico. I had to connect from Mexico, from San Miguel. I had to connect to take a bus up to Mexico City. That was like a 5 hours, 6 hours. And then go to the airport, and from the main airport going from Mexico City to LA, and from LA to Japan, and Japan connecting to Taipei, Taiwan. And I remember it was exact. And then to get in Taipei, they provide you all the instructions, follow this and this. And then take the fast train, the rapid train, and connecting you to the city. I was I was exhausted, extremely exhausted, so many hours. And then I arrived on the main station, train station, and they set up the TV for this festival. It was a big festival. I played with several musicians, and they say, oh, okay, ready. Open your case and tune your guitar, and you have to play. It was the most difficult situation because mentally
You
and
must not have,
physically,
you must not have slept for hours. I mean, you must have had tremendous jet lag.
absolutely, yeah, and do it right away. Wow, I never, never forgot that. Yeah, it
Yeah,
was so that's tell you a lot about how you know some people think oh, okay, these mega artists, the rock artists, and they travel all the time. What amazing! They're traveling so many places and playing for big auditoriums, but is not that simple. Is you get tired, I mean, it's especially now traveling in airplane is uncomfortable, I would say, and yeah, and I would say that to be a musician and to be a guitarist is like an apostolate, a lot of sacrifice, But again, we're doing that because we have that passion.
yeah,
And when you have the passion, you don't feel those things,
yeah,
You can feel it, but you said at the end, the rewards are amazing because you are, consider this, you are playing your instrument in front of so many people, and you receive the applause of the from the auditorium, from the audience, and on top of that they pay you, so
yeah.
that's good.
That's very good. All right, this is from an 11th grade student. Have any performances had a tremendous impact on you? And I think we covered that with that one performance you did at the festival. Of course, that had a tremendous impact. But what concerts, well, probably performing for the Pope was a tremendous impact on you. What other performances maybe really just impacted you tremendously?
Yes, well, the of course the one that you mentioned was very important, to play for the John Paul II. But also, I remember playing 3 times for the Organization of American States, playing for all the ambassadors and presidents, and then playing at the Kennedy Center for the Millennium Concert Series. It was something very important. Playing at the Countdown Art Center in Mauritius, a beautiful, beautiful auditorium with an amazing acoustics. And I remember playing in Berlin for also at the Cervantes Institute, playing for all the ambassadors there. And there was, at the end, we were celebrating, and the cocktail, and someone came in Berlin, a Peruvian person, and tells me and Rosemary, my wife, said, I know him. He said, because I saw him when he was performing at the competition on TV, and the guitar was bigger than him. I said, wow, do you remember? Yes, he said, I was 12 years old, it was incredible. But answering the question, the with honesty, for me, every opportunity to present a concert, regardless the size of the venue, of the auditorium, it can be the smallest placer, or you can play only for 10 people, or you can play for 2,500 people. For me, is the same, because the message has to be the same. I'm not going to play different because I'm playing before 2,000 people. And when I play not too well because I'm playing for 10 people. And
Doesn't
on
work
top
that
of
way.
that, right, the guitar is an intimate instrument. I prefer to play in a place that the acoustic speaks. You don't have
Yeah.
to be worried about amplification or anything like that. You just play and you enjoy your playing and the natural sound, as well as the audience too. So I remember someone told me, a famous soccer player in my country, Peru, one day he said, all the stadiums are the same. So when you're playing, don't worry about this one that has 40,000 people capacity or the other one that has 80,000 or 100,000. All are the same field, same dimensions,
Yeah.
so same size. It applies for what we're doing, for our music, I think it does. I consider that what we're doing is a privilege. It's really privileged because we are in some way making or sending a spiritual, emotional message, providing happiness, providing nostalgia, providing, we cannot be happy all the time. We need a little bit of nostalgia as well as we need happiness. So nothing is perfect, nothing is complete. So I think it's a privilege for us to be really sending that musical message to others.
Oh, thank you for that. Thank you. What a wonderful answer. All right, the next one, if you have time for more. This is from a fourth grader. Do you get to work with famous people? And how many countries have you performed in?
That's a lovely question. I had the opportunity to play with very talented musicians, like you, like many other friends, and as well as playing for famous, playing with famous people or opening for so many of them. I play with the most important Peruvian composer in Peru, Chabuca Granda. I play my mentor, Carlos Hayre, probably for many considered one of the most important musicians from Peru. I'm playing for opening the concert for Tito Puente, for Susana Vaca. So really wonderful experience. But what can I say? I enjoy equally playing with, or with those famous guys was playing with wonderful musicians. If many artists ask me the question, or students too, why, how to become, for instance, famous? Not that I'm famous, but the question is, how could you be famous? What to do? What is the secret? The secret is, I said first, do it with honesty. Whatever you do with honesty, do it with passion, with love for what you do. But you do it with honesty. What I want to say, if you do it with honesty, you have to remember, for instance, just to mention some name, Paco de Lucia, one of the greatest flamenco guitarists. Sabicas, one of the greatest from flamenco. Julian Brain, John Williams, Baden Powell, Barrueco, so many. At certain point on their life, they were not famous. They were unknown. So you don't have to feel that you are less, or as you say, you are not comparing yourself with others. Well, the competition is with yourself, right? How better how you can be, is important. I think that's very important. That way you can really start. You need to have confidence on yourself, and of course, passion, confidence, determination, discipline.
Yeah.
But the discipline, I always put it at the end, because not in the beginning, because the discipline, I think, is a consequence of those three elements. When you have the passion, naturally, you're gonna fall into the discipline. So it's very important. And also answering the question of the how many countries. I play in 4 continents. So I play in South America, in Central America, Caribbean, in Europe, Asia, and Africa. So I hope one day I can play in Australia or New Zealand. But I played, I would say, probably more than 19 countries.
Wow, that's impressive. Wow. Yeah, that's a lot of traveling.
So that's I always call my guitar my international passport. The guitar took me to those different places.
Uh-huh. Oh, that's wonderful. And one final question, and this is from a freshman in college. What advice would you give to a young musician who wants to make a living as a touring artist?
Good question. So first thing, I think in life, not only music, in life, is so important to be able to feel, to recognize, to know that you are next to someone that is your inspiration. In other words, is your mentor, or it can be your mentor, someone that it will be your mentor, because that's going to be the power and of inspiration that you need to start your own path, walking on your own artistic path, but not only music, in life in general. When you see someone that really has that role of a mentor, it's so important to do that. And when you feel that there is a little fire there called passion for music, and you say, "Ooh, I want to do that," I want that passion is so important. So you have the mentor, the inspiration, and then you have the passion, plus what I already mentioned, the determination, passion, determination, and discipline, confidence too, of course, confidence. Never give up. Always, life is that. Life is like music, You are ascending or descending. Sometimes you are holding a voice and you're going totally flat. Sometimes you go up, sometimes you go down, sometimes you're building things and you're building a core. And sometimes you're building a beauty, just a single melody.
Yes, I tell the kids that too. I say in life, you're either doing a crescendo or a decrescendo, and it's constant. Where life is a crescendo and a decrescendo,
Exactly.
And I always people will ask me, and I hate this question, but it's natural. People say, when are you going to retire? And I say, are you kidding? I'm in the encore of my life. This is the encore.
Right.
This is, I consider,
Exactly.
yeah, and the encore is one of the best parts of a performance where
That's
you're
a beautiful
you're
way to put it.
you're
Yeah,
playing what you want to play. You've got it isn't the program. You just come out and play what you're inspired to play, what you what you love doing, and the audience is so looking forward to an encore, and they're waiting for that encore. So I always say,
right.
I'm in the encore of my life. This is actually, I think this time in my life personally is the best time I've ever had in my entire life.
Exactly.
So anyway, I'm enjoying the encore of my life.
Oh, hey,
So
that's really a beautiful way to describe that, Felicity. And it's true. It's true. I hear that question. Sometimes people say, I guess you're going to play for maybe, 5 more years. And I said, I'm not thinking about it, to be
no,
honest. We're thinking on playing and making people happy, and sending always that's our gift for the community, for society, because everybody has that capacity of the provide their own gift in a different areas, and different, there are people there, doctors, NDs, musicians, psychologists. Everyone is making a contribution, and all are equally important. You know, that I always say music is so important. And we put a little attention to music, especially on the times of the pandemic, right? Because before that, we were just busy, 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 always rushing. We were just worried, extracting things, not replacing things, and then suddenly someone closed the door, the big door of the wall, and
yeah,
said,
it's
"Oh, what's going on here?" Right? Oh, we are isolated now. Oh, you cannot be outside. You start thinking, "Oh, I'm missing my friends, my family," and then what can I do? Oh, music. Yeah, music was there always, but
right.
we take it as, as something that is not important. Now I think we're changing a little bit that.
Mhm.
It's important to, out of a crisis, always, if there is something positive, is the opportunity.
Yeah,
Always at the end of the tunnel, there is light at the end of the tunnel, and that's called an opportunity.
mhm. Right. Perfect. Well, before we completely close our interview, I ask all of you three questions. And the first one is, what is one piece of advice you would give to young people today? Just in general, what would you say to young people today?
I would say the young people that they are so important on these times, not only in these times, in any time, in any era in their life. Young people are the engine for societies, but based on education. It's exactly, for instance, what One Voice for Change is doing, because the education is the most important tool. Without education, everything is limited, because you don't have, your knowledge is limited. But when you have education, that give you choices, the opportunity for choices to select things properly. So I would say young people, not only musicians, they are the future of the new communities, the future of the new societies that have to be based on values and education.
Thank you. Second question, what gives you hope for the future?
Well, I think the future sounds something as a synonymous of unknown, right? We say we don't know the future. We don't know what we're going to do. But I think, according to this fast pacing of life that we're living now, always we are, our life depends on the cell phone. I call many times I told you the God cellular, the new God, because we are receiving commands, orders from there. How to do this. So changing the society, even the social behavior, you see people, I like to observe always, go to a restaurant, and they're not talking, because it's better it's shocking, right? It's better to send a text, is better than talk, So T versus T, talk versus text. No, they say no talk. I prefer text. Why? Because it's more practical. We are losing contact with the awareness of the people, a hug, see each other face to face is so important. So I think the younger people need to be very serious about these problems that we're facing due to a new technology, because everything is sales, and sales. So, but the future I mentioned is unknown, but we can predict also the future in terms of the cycles. Always is doing this.
Yeah.
At certain point, we had to return to the old times, and the old times always had good values.
Yes.
It's important to keep those values. Yes. I think that can be a good opportunity for kids to change society, to transform society. Arts are so important. So I remember Leo Brouwer, one day he said, I can imagine, he said, the world without music for more than 48 hours. It would be a disaster, he said. Un desastre, he said, un desastre. A disaster, totally. So
I can't imagine. I've never thought about it. If everything just shut down and you didn't have any music ever again.
Right? It's like feeling that we won't be able to play our instruments. You say when we can play it, but no, you cannot. But it's different when we say, okay, now I'm maybe like Andres Segovia, maybe I'm 80 something or 90. This is time for me to retire. Well, you said, okay, I did it, but I played those years, so many years, so many decades. But it's the same thing, when someone shut down the music, we mind it would be a total disaster. So we need to change that. Education is so important. It's the key word, education, and that involves all the fields, including music.
Yes. Thank you. All right, last question, but before we close up, who inspires you?
That's a good question. Wow. Well, I have some mentors in my life. For me, Carlos Hayre was one of my mentors, because we have a relationship, student, instructor, but then we became friends, very good friends. And he showed me so many things in life, For instance, as well as Manuel Lopez Ramos too. Manuel Lopez Ramos was considered, I remember a book. You remember the book of publishing in England? It was a big book with the biography of many guitarists in the world.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
Yes, I don't remember the title, but the classical guitar.
Yeah, I think I've got it. Yeah, it's really thick and it's got every guitarist in there. Yes. Yeah.
Exactly. And composers too. There's a chapter dedicated to the
Mhm.
composers.
Yeah.
But I remember I already studied with Manuel Lopez Ramos when I opened the page of that book, and then I was reading, and someone make a graphic of a guitar, publish a guitar there, with the names of the most important guitarists, the people more influenced guitarists in the world. And they were at that time, of course, Alirio, Andres Segovia was in the center of the guitar with the big letters, big font, and next to him was Alirio Diaz, and in the other side, same level, Manuel Lopez Ramos. I mean, few people don't know about him, but he was at that level, and he was a great admirer of Andres Segovia. But he, besides being a wonderful instructor, he was a kind of a philosopher. And the way that he talked and he used to think, and oh my God, it was incredible, incredible. But also, my mother, people, my uncle, people that really make a big impact in my life. But also it's the people. For me, people are very important, because when I see people crying after a concert of expressing emotions, I say, wow, I I think I I did I reached what I was trying to send that message, and that's very important, very important, at least for me. That's my inspiration.
Oh, this interview has been so beautiful. Thank you, Alfredo. Thank you so much. I so appreciate your time. Thank you. The students will love hearing about your life and about music. So thank you for your time, and thank you from me.
Oh,
Thank you from One Voice for Change. And
oh, thank you.
we wish you the best. And I'd like to let everyone know that all the information for Alfredo Muro will be in the links below. So please check out his website, his information, his music, and you can check out One Voice for Change and all the information below. But thank you, Alfredo. We
Oh,
will say goodbye.
thank you,
And
Felicity.
yeah, and
Thank you
have
for
a
the wonderful opportunity.
thank you. All right. Well, have a wonderful day in Spain, and we will talk to you again sometime soon.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you very much.
All
Thank
right.
you. Bye bye.
Until then,
Bye
goodbye.
bye. Until then, bye bye. Thank you.